Welcome, it's sultry hot day here in London. Sultry hot. Paul, get away from me, you're too hot.
I'm hot.
It is. It's 33 degrees outside, but I'm kind of getting used to it.
Are you?
Yeah, I kind of am.
You do have a glow to you.
I do. Well, more about that later. So, welcome to the show, bloody welcome. Thank you for joining us. This show is called...
Sunday Chat!
Chatter.
Chatter.
Sunday Chatter. What? What?
It's just funny.
I'm going to start calling you Crystal Tips with your new haircut, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your triangular haircut.
Yeah. It cost a fortune.
Paul cut his hair. And I noticed that you cut it in the shower as well.
Yeah.
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 Do you know how I noticed? Because of the bits of hair that you left behind.
Oh, I didn't leave lots of hair behind.
You left some. Disgusting.
Most of the hair went into our composting.
So...
where it will be eaten by mites and things and break down, and all the silica and nutrients will go into the compost.
Silica?
So that you can grow
Silica?
hair again.
What's silica?
No, it's not silica.
Keratin.
Keratin.
It's a
keratin.
protein.
That's it, the protein, keratin. Yeah.
So anyway, apologies for my slightly scruffy look.
Yes, what did you say? I can't be bothered.
Well, look, I've been gardening. More about that in a minute. I know, gardening in 33 degree heat. So hot I can barely speak.
He's done 2 days of gardening, and Christ, we know about it. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, it's a damn sight more hard work than down at the plot putting a few little vegetables in. Picking a few little tomatoes and beans.
I wish we were picking tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah, I wish we were.
You picked loads of tomatoes. You bought some green ones home. We're going to have a green tomato curry. And if you've never had our green tomato curry, here's a little video. Stop it. Just showing yourself up. I've got knees.
I've got knees.
Yeah, we both got shorts on today. Literally direct from the garden. So anyway, welcome, bloody welcome, and thank you for tuning in to yet another episode. Oh,
you can see your shorts. You can't see mine. I might be wearing nothing.
Well, you wouldn't be sitting on my sofa if you weren't wearing nothing, I'm telling you.
If you weren't wearing nothing.
If you weren't wearing nothing, you wouldn't be sitting on my sofa. I'd have put a towel down first. Disgusting.
If you weren't wearing nothing is a double negative.
Yeah, I like double negatives, okay? I use them. I think they're fun. So anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we?
What is the weather like?
Paul, shush now, I've not finished the welcome, bloody welcome to the show. And thank you on all platforms.
Coffee, Facebook,
Instagram,
Twitter, Instagram.
What's that noise? We're going to be plagued by noise now.
It sounds as though somebody's blowing up an inflatable.
Well, I can't be doing with that.
He's going to have to shut the window.
No, I'm going to have to shout out of the window. Shut up!
I think it's because sometimes when cars stop and they lock them up, the fan keeps on going to cool it down.
I don't care. It's excessively noisy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's still going on.
It's still going to annoy him.
Anyway. Blah blah blah. Planet Vegetaria, our Facebook group by Planet Richard
and Think.
Planet Paul Richard Vegetaria.
1972.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Now there's a plane.
I mean, we've been plagued by noise by the monstrosity that is the scaffolding that has gone up on the extension building project just next door. It's like a lookout tower. It's like the Tower of Babel.
It's
One
enormous.
could touch God at the top of there. I mean, why does it have to be so bloody big? It's blocked out my morning sun as well.
Oh no! Oh. So it's because they're doing a roof, a loft extension now. Now they've done the other bit. They're doing the loft extension, so there needs to be the headroom above the ridge of the roof for them to be able to stand. So it's enormous.
Anyway,
yeah.
I don't think our neighbours do watch this show, but if you do, you've ruined our summer. Thank you. And I shall tell them that face to face. And that may net another bottle of Prosecco.
It might, yeah, it might.
Or a case of Prosecco. Actually, Tattinger would be good.
Actually, it's quite interesting because they moved out and they're just renting a house opposite our allotment at the moment. And I do see them occasionally, and before the work really began, they kept on going, how are things going? I was going, like, yeah, fine. And like in the last month, since the noise is there, they haven't asked me how things are going.
No, because they know, and I'm serious about this. We have mild enough winters now with the kind of scaffolding projects that the kind of scaffolding equipment they use now. There is a cover over the whole thing. So they could have opted to go for winter when people aren't using their gardens for pleasure, you know, and wanting to relax in their gardens. But what about people that work from home as well?
It'll be when the building company can do it as well, won't it? I don't care.
I think it should be at the convenience of the neighbours and not the other way round. So, anyway, let's get on. So the weather. It's been hot and it's very dry now. We've had no rain for months, it seems.
Well, that's not true.
For 6 months at least.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Well, we haven't had any significant rain of any note.
Of any worth, I think. Of any worth.
Well, you've said that twice.
Yeah,
back it up.
I don't think because
back it up.
Because the rain that did come down after the last heat wave was quite heavy, but it really didn't do anything. It was quick and it just ran away, and that is the issue with the rain that we have got forecast for next week. If it is torrential, it will just run off and cause flash flooding. I mean, ours at the allotment, well, anything here, if it doesn't go into the drains, goes into the River Brent or the Grand Union Canal.
Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, very dry, and we're in sort of drought conditions. I don't think the hosepipe ban has been put in force here.
There's a drought order in force, but not a hosepipe ban yet.
Yeah, but obviously we're not using the hosepipe. I'm using it to fill the watering can because it's attached to my tap.
But interestingly, I think with Southern Water and Isle of Wight water, where allotments usually get an exemption, that hasn't been allowed this time. Oh. The National Allotment Society had word of an exemption, stated that, then there seemed to be an awful lot of discussion, and now they've come out and said that actually the exemption to allotments, or for allotments, doesn't apply.
So don't listen to any YouTubers telling you it's okay to use a hose on your allotment. Well, check with your local authority first and your local water company before you needlessly water with a hose. It does make things more difficult. It makes things a little bit tricky if you've got new plants in the garden, as I have. But you just have to make trips with the watering can. What?
They're your plants in
my
your garden.
Plants. I purchased them. They're in my garden because I am doing it. Your allotment is your allotment because you do it. It's not my allotment.
Well, I call it our allotment.
Yeah, I know this our thing all the time. We, our. I mean, you know, it's your work. Take the credit for it, Paul.
Just like you're taking the credit for the 2 days of gardening you've done.
Yeah, because you didn't lift a finger and you never do in the back garden.
I brought you that compost yesterday.
That's it, a little bag of half bag of compost.
You only wanted half a bag of compost?
Know.
I only want half a bag of compost.
And how
I
grateful
don't want any
was
more.
I?
Not at all, I think.
I said thank you.
Did you? Who was that to?
Well, it might have been you, I don't know. Possibly. Anyway, let's move on. It's tinder dry. The conditions are tinder dry, which is rather worrying. You know what I heard the other day? Yesterday, in fact, I was sat having a little breakette in the dining room and there was this crack.
Really?
Yeah, crack. Like that, above my head. Sounded like the building was stressing in the heat.
Oh, I thought you meant a tree.
No, like that.
Well, yeah, they do. They do. We've actually got a orchard trail, the Hanwell and Norwood Orchard Trail, and was it yesterday or no, a few days ago, Blackberry Corner, which is maybe a 15-minute walk into the meadows for us.
Where the fairies live.
Where the fairies live. That caught fire and some of the trees have been damaged and obviously the grass was scorched, but fortunately it was put out pretty quickly.
Good.
The fire brigade was there. You know, I mean, it's so... now, I think Morrison's has banned barbecues, Marks and Spencer's has, Sainsbury's has. All of these companies, big corporates that make lots and lots of money, are jumping on the bandwagon now with their press releases saying, oh look, we're being really good, we're not actually selling barbecues. They shouldn't have been selling those one-time only barbecues for the last 3 months. They've made all their profit,
Right.
They shouldn't be selling them.
All right.
Yes, gosh, it annoys me.
The other thing that is quite annoying, on 2 occasions there have been firework displays. And you just think, Paul, you are morons.
Yeah.
You're complete and utter morons for doing that, because it just takes a spark on this dry grass.
What I found out, there was also a fire a week or so ago on Warren Farm Nature Reserve, and it was actually caused by a strimmer or lawnmower hitting a stone and a spark being created, and it took down an area. Again, it was under control quickly, but even the work that they were doing to reduce fires by cutting the grass down and removing it, even that activity caused fire.
Yeah, I mean, it just needs common sense. I mean, anything that creates heat. For example, I moved that glass bottle.
Yeah.
In the garden. I've got this big terrarium bottle, which is just an ornament. But I thought, well, what if that lenses onto something? Paul, stop it.
So you moved it?
So I moved it. Anyway, let's move on. I've been gardening for the past 2 days in 33-degree heat. Yes, I know, I'm a complete and utter maniac. But I quite enjoyed it. I feel as though I'm getting used to heat. And I think it's because very often this kind of weather arrives bang without any kind of warning. But we've had a more gradual rise up to the 40-degree heat that we had.
Yeah.
And now anything after that feels cold, frankly.
But
it's true, isn't it? You get used to that extreme.
Yeah, you do.
And your body adapts.
But it's also very dry in the back garden, so you don't have that humidity in the back garden. Our garden is really quite sheltered because we've got a lot of trees that shade it.
I have an umbrella.
And he has an umbrella in our garden that he has put up, and he's been working under that.
I also wear a bandana here, and then I put my hat on top. I put some sunscreen on my arms, and that's good. I'm good to go. If I've got sweat dripping into my eyes, that really disorientates me and makes me feel a bit really hot and bothered, But if you stop that from happening, it's easier. It's just much easier. So bandanas and hats. Alexa, please, I'm talking. Stop. So yeah, that really, it really helps me, A, feel a little bit cooler, and B, not feel all hot and bothered with my hair sticking in my face and all of that. So if you deal with those silly little practical things, wear nice loose clothing, actually it's quite pleasant in the shade. And I seem to be used to the heat. I don't know, it's weird. Mind you, having said that, during the lockdown in the August heat...
You did all the decorating.
I did that decorating. So maybe I'm not as bad in the heat as I used to be. Maybe I'm reverting to how I was in my 20s.
Aww.
Where I sunbathed and got tanned and had a thin body.
You mean like 15 years ago?
Yes, just a short while ago. So, gardening, new plants, got some geraniums. We took a little trip to the garden centre, didn't we?
We did.
Which was quite pleasant, although they've rearranged the garden centre to funnel you past all of the other tat that they're selling, which of course doesn't work on us.
No, but there was so much tat
central.
There was also some really nice ceramic bowls that were really nice.
But were very expensive.
I said to Richard, "Oh, those are nice," but they were $7.99 each. So no.
No, but we don't succumb to those bargains, do we? Really, those bargain lures.
Well, they're not. They're not even bargains, are they?
No, they're not.
No.
But they try to make you think they're a bargain.
Yeah.
Anyway, move on. New grass, nice big grass, which I found out is a Pampas Grass. Better not put that in the front garden then, really. You know what they say about people who grow Pampas Grass in their front gardens. Yeah. If you don't know, Google it.
I did once end up at a
No, Paul, we're not
swingers
talking.
evening.
Paul, you've just ruined that now because I wanted them to go and do some investigation.
This was before I knew Richard, and they did have Pampas in the front garden.
There you go.
There we are.
It. So anyway,
I didn't know it was a swingers evening before I went.
We've got absolutely nothing against people who like to swing. We're not judging.
Or people who have Pampas in their front garden.
We're not judging. Okay, it's perfectly fine with us. We just don't want to throw our keys in the bowl.
No. They didn't have a bowl.
No.
Just in the room.
So yeah, Pampas grass, geraniums, all potted up for some extra prettiness in the back garden. Oh. What I've done also is I've remarked the lawn.
Re-edged.
I've marked it out with edging. Thank you very much. Not as neat as Vivi, it's more of a trough really, either side.
It's a cliff edge.
But it's quite hard to cut that soil neatly because it's so dry it just crumbles away. It's not like you're cutting a wedge.
Excuse.
Well, it is, it's true.
Yeah.
That's going to be reseeded, that small lawn. I've got my grass seed on the way, should arrive today. Thank you very much.
But you won't be putting it down today?
No. I'll wait for the heat to dissipate and then I'll need to prepare the lawn surface first. It's partially prepared already.
How are you going to do it?
Well, you know what I started off by doing, Paul? Thank you for asking.
Licking the ground?
No, nearly. I brushed the grass. What? It was very effective. It got all the stones off.
Oh, yeah.
And into the borders.
Right, good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know a woman who actually vacuums her lawn. Anyway. So that's all good. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. The garden's looking much better. Posted a picture on social media about it earlier on today. It's Saturday. So yeah, I'm feeling as though we're getting somewhere with all these jobs that need to be done. We're doing something every week, every other day perhaps, to clear stuff out. What did we do again this week, Paul? Another little outing?
Oh yes, we had an outing, our first ever outing to the refurbished Ealing dump.
We had an outing last week. We talked about it.
Oh, was that last week?
Yeah.
I thought we'd gone twice this week.
No, we went last week.
Did we? Oh, right.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
did.
went to the dump.
I'm sure we did. didn't we?
No, I don't think so.
If we didn't. Yes, we did. Trip to the Dump last week.
We did.
This is my Sunday chat journey.
Sunday chat!
Worth millions.
So yeah, we went to the dump again.
Second trip to the dump, taking the old
electrical items,
Strimmer's old lawnmower, things like that, and something else. A little bag of clothes, and
what else?
Something else that I can't quite remember, Paul.
It went in general waste.
What did we say goodbye to?
I can't remember.
Anyway, doesn't matter. So that's good. Clearing.
Oh, it was some old tripods.
Old tripods.
Yeah.
That had broken.
Yeah.
And were irreparably damaged.
Yeah.
So that's lovely. And of course, there has been sad news this week, Paul. Very sad news. The death of Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, yes.
Absolute icon and one of my favourites. Very famous, of course, in the movie Grease and Xanadu.
I've only seen Xanadu once.
But of course, I certainly was very familiar with Olivia before Grease. Because she was a singer, well-known singer.
Yeah, she was, wasn't she?
If Not For You, Sam, Banks of the Ohio, love that one where she kills him. Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Oh yeah, that was her.
Yeah. Well, I think it was also...
Was she country?
Yeah, she was country and western.
Country and western, wasn't she? Yeah.
And then she did Grease and was propelled. And of course then, after Grease, she had her sort of revival with Physical.
Yeah.
And all the singles off that album, which did incredibly well. So, very saddened. It wasn't a shock, because we knew Olivia was ill and had been ill for quite a long time. She'd lived with cancer for a very long, remarkably long time. So, we feel, saddened by that, and, our thoughts go out to her friends and family, because, of course, we didn't know Olivia.
No.
And this is the thing, isn't it, with your icons and famous people. I don't quite understand when people are in tatters about it, because you didn't know that person.
Well, I mean,
you didn't know them.
But you sort of, it's all that emotion, isn't it? That sort of builds up when you follow somebody for an awful long time.
Well, I've followed Olivia Newton-John for the best part of 40 years, and I had maybe one gentle tear about it. It's a gentle sadness.
But that's because you have a cold, cold heart.
That's true, Paul.
Yeah.
Lovely. So, bye, Olivia. See you again one day in the afterlife.
Really? Yeah. Are you going to be, what was it, roller skating with her? Was that Xanadu? Was it roller skating?
Xanadu did have... Where's my fan? My new fan?
I don't know.
I've got a runny nose now as well.
Oh.
We're just going to have to stop.
A tear and a runny nose.
We're going to have to stop for a moment so I can blow my nose. Yes, my new fan. Given to me by a friend. Isn't it lovely? I haven't got the knack of snapping it open yet.
Well, yeah, be careful. You don't want to break it.
It's rather lovely, isn't it? Rather sweet.
It looks like a Spanish souvenir fan.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's lovely. Thank you, Anne. She won't be watching because she hasn't got the internet. So, yes, what were we saying?
Olivia Newton-John.
Yes, Xanadu roller skating in space. Xanadu's...
I don't really remember it.
Xanadu's a pretty shit film, actually.
I'm surprised it hasn't been on TV.
It has.
No, I mean since it was announced she died.
Oh, they'll do an Olivia Newton-John season. Somebody will. Somebody will.
Yeah.
No, Xanadu was a pretty crap film, but it's fantastic at the same time.
Wasn't there lots of sort of merging in and out and lots of colours in
Well,
things?
no, she's a muse. She's one of the muses, and she is brought to life to inspire this guy with his dreams
Of roller skating.
of opening a nightclub.
A roller skating nightclub.
And Gene Kelly's there. So it's actually, if you take certain scenes and just run them together like a music video, for example, it works. But it's kind of not very well threaded together, and some of the scenes are a bit long, but the songs, the music is fantastic.
Why didn't John Travolta do it? They must have offered it to him.
I don't know.
I mean, the two of them were, hot money, weren't they, together?
Well, didn't they do another film together? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm not a complete expert on the films of Olivia Newton-John.
But he is a fan.
Do you want to be fanned?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
So, sorry about that. I sort of zoned out then.
He does that quite often. But I asked you something yesterday and you just ignored me completely.
Did I?
Oh, I think that's just because you ignored me completely, though, other than zoned out.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember. Anyway, let's move on with the show because it's not a long one today, loves. It's not a long
moving
one
on from Richard's work in the garden, I've obviously been doing things at the plot, like not picking loads of green tomatoes, loads of red tomatoes, but picking green tomatoes. But we are 100 years old as an allotment this year, in a few months' time. I think I've mentioned this before. And we're actually going to look at maps next week at our local library, which have had to have been taken out of storage, to look at a map of 1894, and also maps of earlier than that and some later than that, because I've always wondered why our allotment is called as it is, and I'll go into this at some point once we've seen proof of this. But I do believe that our allotment is named after a bridge that used to be here. So yeah, it'll be interesting to do that. We're going to have a little event in September or October, and we'll present information that many people don't know about the allotment. So yeah, we're doing some research, and that's really good. Really good.
Excellent, Paul.
And what was your work where you work? What's it on the map as? It's on the map as a nursery.
Oh.
So that's 1894. It was down as a nursery because actually in this area there used to be a big asylum where Ealing Hospital is now.
Hanwell Asylum.
Hanwell Asylum. And it had big gardens. It grew huge amounts of food. It had its own orchards for fruit. It also sold, so they used people at the asylum to work those grounds and, sell produce. And I reckon that the nursery that is written on the map of 1894, I think it must be part of the asylum at that point. Maybe not part of the asylum grounds, but some land that was given for cultivation to the asylum, because it's Ealing Council land now, and I think it most probably was then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
lovely.
Interesting.
Now let's move on and finish the show.
And we also saw a map of here, and just across the road, 3 doors down, there used to be a little orchard there as well in 1894, which is really fascinating.
Lovely.
Fascinating for me.
No, I love maps too. I really do, and I had a look at it. It is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So, what have we watched on television this week? What have we watched?
We finished Archive 81, which we really did enjoy.
Yeah, very much so.
It did conclude.
Yeah.
It was obviously set up for a second season, though, as we know, that was ditched. But it came to a distinct conclusion,
it was
which was
satisfying.
Really good. It was.
I think that's the word.
And then we moved on to something that neither of us had any knowledge of before. And that was the Sandman.
The Sandman, yeah. Well, I did have knowledge of it, actually.
Did you?
Because I'd seen interviews with Neil Gaiman. Is it Gaiman? And I'd seen Toya talking about it as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I think it's 10 episodes. I think 8 would have been fine. But I am really enjoying it. Episode 6, I really, really liked. It was just a happy episode.
I think it's a little protracted in places. It's a little drawn out.
Well, episode 5, can't remember what it was called, but it's set in that restaurant.
It's certainly twisted.
Very twisted.
In many ways. Won't say anything about it if you've not seen it. It's certainly worth a watch.
And interestingly, parts of it were filmed around where Vanessa is and where For Her Sake is. So in woods and areas around there. So that was interesting. Yeah.
Lovely.
And London and various other places.
We've also been watching Tom and Barbara Good.
We have.
In The Good Life.
So it sort of gets to the end of watching an episode or two of The Sandman, and then we switch over to, or switch onto an episode of The Good Life just to sort of end the evening. And I really do love The Good Life.
Isn't it interesting because they talk about, they edge on political stuff and environmental stuff. Bear in mind, this was the 1970s.
Yeah.
I think 1974. So they talk about political stuff, they talk about environmental stuff. And it really makes you think, you know, if we were talking about that in the 60s and the 70s, why on earth hasn't more been done? You know, in terms of sorting out the political process and the ridiculous political stuff that goes on, and the environmental stuff. That's whatever anybody's done has been a complete bloody failure.
Well, I mean, what has been done is
pockets have been lined.
Profiteering has been is abounded by all the corporations that, you know.
Hey, environmental. Yeah, we can use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
That's what they've said, basically.
I mean, it is known that you know, stifling chatter about climate change has been going on for decades. Paid for stifling of it. But hey ho, you know, we are where we are today because of all these corporations making millions and not investing correctly, including with our water at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a bit of a mess if we look at the political situation and the environmental situation. It's a mess. I mean, you've got the prices rocketing. So we are going to have to make some changes this winter to enable us to afford to live. Seriously.
Warmly in this house.
Yeah, we're going to have to make some changes because basically... Oh, what
cloud.
happened?
Big cloud.
Basically, we're not going to be able to afford to heat this house.
No, we got an email the other day to say that the anticipated costs for our electricity and gas next year would be £5,860.
We can't afford that. I'd have to get another job. You'd have to get another job. I kind of think, why should we? Why the bloody hell should we have to do that when people are walking off with millions of pounds of profit and bonuses, billions of bonuses, God knows what, and living the high life, whereas us who have lived relatively comfortably
and modestly for
a number of years, and, you know, trying to do our best, why should we have to suffer? You know, but we're going to have to, and we're going to have to make some changes. For example, We're probably going to stop using this living room in the winter because it simply gets too cold unless we have a coal fire, a smokeless coal fire, which we are seriously considering.
We're costing that up at the moment.
Yeah, because actually it may be cheaper to buy smokeless fuel.
Which is ridiculous.
And chemical firelighters, so we're not creating smoke, and have a coal fire. Or if we don't do that, we're going to move into the dining room. I'm going to create a snug in the dining room. We'll shut off all the other radiators and we'll live in there because it's a lower ceiling, it's a smaller room, it's well double glazed, it's new double glazing in there, and it gets the winter sun. So, you know, we're thinking about having to do that. So
yeah, so
we'll make the best of it.
Potentially some changes.
We'll make the best of it, as one does. But you think, why the hell should we? You know, when we've been able to afford energy this far, and I'm sorry, we can't go on blaming it on the Ukraine war.
No. I mean,
that's what they're doing. They're using Ukraine.
I mean, the price of a barrel of oil has come down quite considerably now. Yet the prices at the pumps haven't come down to the level that they were when the barrel of oil was that price before.
It's just not making sense now at all.
Anyway.
And they could do a lot more to pass on, you know, the excess money that they have, which is billions, profits and all of that. They could do more to pass that on to the customer. And I think, you know, the fat cats need to slim down, really. It's outrageous. It's bloody-rageous.
I think also the subsidies, and I'll go into one, the subsidies go to the big corporations, and actually the subsidies should go to the general public, maybe in a VAT reduction, so that it doesn't cost them as much.
Surely the companies should be publicly owned.
Well, they should be publicly owned.
That's what should happen, like in France with EDF.
Yeah.
You know,
they should be publicly
where
owned.
the profits are passed on to the customer. That's how it should be. Full stop. You know, it's profiteering and it's wrong. It's basically wrong. It's actually, I think it's infringing on human rights. To be honest,
well,
if you really break it down.
Well, the Conservatives want to get rid of the European Court of Human Rights and create our own, which will most probably include allowing slavery again. Yes. So, what else have we watched?
We watched Countdown again because the Irish person that we didn't like was no longer presenting it due to COVID. We do wish him well. But Les Dennis came on and did a stint, so we rewatched.
Yeah, and we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it with Les.
Yeah, I think again Les brought his own angle. I mean, each presenter brings their own angle, but again, Les allowed people to speak.
That's
right. He was, you know, driving the program and hosting the program, obviously, but not hoarding the lines himself, which I feel the other presenter that we don't watch does.
Yay, woo, that's it.
And we also watched...
Did we?
The Hotel Inspector.
Oh yeah, same old.
There were two revisits that we watched, and I thought the first one was really good with the Italian brothers, and the second one was interesting. Yeah.
Alexa, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alexa, stop.
So she just thought you were thanking her.
That's it.
But she did. She just thought you were thanking her.
That's the end of the show for this week. Thank you very much for watching. The sun has gone in. This is rather worrying.
Well,
I've got jobs to do. It can't rain today.
What are you going to do this afternoon?
I'm going to paint those chairs.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I'm going to paint those chairs in the garden. I need to scrape them down with a wire brush and then spray paint them in pastel gorgeousness.
And are you going to put them into a big box or something to do that?
I'm just going to get it done. I want it done. I don't care if a little bit of spray paint accidentally hits the floor, but I don't want it to go anywhere near the double glazing.
So you're going to put some plastic up, aren't you?
I will do. Okay, that's it. Say goodbye, Paul. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Come again.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye.